Oilem Ziege wird normal am Retten Yiddish, the Mugat Stumzan English towards English.
Bit painful because it was after losing quite a bit of money that I was pouring the money down the drain.
How do you refresh your brain? How do you keep calm?
Don't understand why there isn't a real hub here in Stamford Hill.
No one wants to fund it.
To this day I can close my eyes and I can see them on fire. So I don't think I've ever said this before, but now we're just the three of us, no one else listening.
Bring my boon to noch an episode from Pushet Pshat. It's an honor for me to introduce my guest, Moshe Morris, partner, founder of Investream. I think involved in many charities, including Work Avenue, Chana,
Seed,
etc., etc. We'll get to all of them soon, probably. Aber usually, ich weiß, die Oilem Ziege wird normal am Retten Yiddish. English, the Mugat Stumzan English towards English. So, but Reb Moshe, introduce yourself and we'll take it from there.
Thank you both. I was born in London. I went to Parder's House, which is a claim to fame, because later on when I went to university and I mixed with more modern people, I always say to them that I went to Parder's House and I learned the Chumash Vayim Hashem the Eibishter Gezuk, the Moshe in Yiddish. I didn't know what it meant. Yeah. I was a young kid at the time. So that was the beginning. I went on to further education in London, schools, Menor Grammar Hasmonean, and then went to Yeshivas Kol Torah, where I learnt primarily under Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach and became very close to him.
Why did your father send you to a cheder where you learn Yiddish?
My father's a Baal Tshuva. He was influenced by the Sassover Rebbe. So my two older sisters went to Menorah primary school, but my father was influenced to send me. I was the older of the two. I've got a younger brother, to Parder's House. So I love the Yiddish. I love my Rebbes. Rabbi Weiss was one of my Rebbes who's outstanding. I could honestly say that I learnt so much with him in the last year in Parder's House that I still remember to today. We used to learn literally the whole Sedra every week, and everything was on the board, and he had a tremendous hashpah on me. For the later years, I stayed in touch with him when he was later and he was unwell and going to hospital. We always stayed in touch. So that relationship, right, going back to primary school, remained with me. And I think that was the more Heimish. You know, there was no way to change a Heimische, Hasidische Rebbe for some of the more modern Litvische Rebbes. So that gives you, I think it's the Warmkeit.
Wieso das umgekommen kann zu Sassover Rebbe?
Wir haben gedaven in Sassow. Ich habe gesetzt, Schleime Feschwasser gesetzt vor mir, und ich habe gesetzt noch einmal, ich habe gewesen, ein Junge, jeder Tag gegangen dort in Davening. Und ich habe gehört, ein kurzer Meister, ich habe gesetzt dort, und bei Schleime Feschwasser gesagt, Pesach, Judecho, Maspielach, Chayruzoin, einmal, zweimal, dreimal, vier, fünf, acht, bis er gehabt die richtige Kavona, und ich habe gesagt zu ihm, sag Jahre nach dem, und ich bin Schleime Feschwasser und gesagt, dass mit so viel Kavona, wenn hat so viel Geld, kann ich mit sagen, also und bis Hand, ich sage es, Pesach es Judecha, ich halte, ich sage es, Sach freie Jiden. Als die eine von der chosheve Sachen zu sagen, an jeder Tag, ist noch Pesach es Judecha, Maspielach, Chayruzoin, alles kommt von der Eibishter. Und ich mal Geld und ich gebe es als zweiter Mensch, dem auch kommt von der Eibishter. Alles kommt von der Eibishter. Also ich fehlt der Welt, jeder eine. Das ist eine von, ich halte sehr starkes Pesach, und ich habe gelernt das in Sassow von der Schleime Fischwasser.
Wow. And so you moved on to Menorah School?
Went to Menorah School where I started my higher education. There were issues there. I went to Hasmonean, then I went to Kol Torah Yeshiva for 3 years. I got married after 2.5 years, so the last half a year was in Koilel. I became very close to Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Later on in my life, I ended up publishing 4 Sforim from Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, Shalmei Moed, Shalmei Simcha, Shalmei Torah, Shalmei Shabbos. A friend of mine, young guy, Kalina Chosid, published them for me, Tovia Freund. And soon after Reb Shlomo Zalman was nifter, we bought all the Kisvei Yad and a lot of notes from the shiurim he gave. So that took me back to my days with Shlomo Zalman Auerbach.
What do you mean you have been close to him? Have you been with him? Have you spoken to him?
I was fortunate to have a car in my later years in Kol Torah, and when I was married, I used to live next to where he lived. So I started to give him a lift after Mincha.
In Israel?
In Israel.
Oh.
In Israel. So I started to give him a lift and started to have a relationship with him, ask him questions, going back to when I was in Korto.
And then you came back to London.
Came back to London, went to university to study real estate, urban estate management, and then big world. I wanted to get into one of the big firms. It was very difficult for a frum guy to get into the very big firms. This is what was called Jones Lang Wootton in those days. Now it's called Jones Lang LaSalle or JLL. I was the only frum person there. I went in, I worked hard, worked my way up from a literally just an assistant helping to building up a large portfolio. At the heyday there, I was there for 10 years. We built up a portfolio of £1.5 billion worth of real estate on behalf of clients before we left. I left with one of the guys who was working with me at the time, Morris Golker, who's now a Shutuf. So we built up a very large business in Jones Lang. We were known as the Jewish business. And Baruch Hashem was a huge Kiddush Hashem. It was very matzliach, very successful. We generated a lot of money for the firm. When we left, it was all done amicably. And we left and we set up our own business in 2002. And that was investing my own real estate.
So until 2002, for 10 years, so you worked for 10 years over there, so from 1992
to 2002.
And when did you get married?
I got married before. I was already married. I got married in 89. So I got married young, 89. And I was 20, my wife is 18. She was originally from Manchester, she moved to London. So I was already married by the time I went to university. I was married in yeshiva when I was in Koilel. So then I came back 3 years studying while I was married, and then I went to Jones Lang. So I was married, I was working hard. A lot of people in the firm, big firm, my office was over 1,000 people. They used to say, it's easy for him, he just makes money, he's doing deals. They didn't realize that I used to work long hours. I did work often on Sunday because obviously Friday I left early, and sometimes in the mornings I was there early. But we were definitely known, as the successful Jewish boys. We built up a very big business while we were there, and at some stage, and it was mainly Jewish clients, and at one stage we got to the stage where we realized we want to set up on our own. And
what do you say, as back in the days when you got married, went into the business, you had the vision where you want to get? Now, you're matzliach. You give a lot of tzedakah, you are one of the kind of successful people around. When you went to university, you said, okay, this is what I want to do, or it kind of happened through Siyata? I
think it happens. I don't think you can over-plan. I think you need to take it stage by stage. I always had a plan to realize that I was looking at what was best for me. So whenever I was in the firm, I was trying to sort of position myself that one day I would set up. But I think you've got to take it stage by stage. When I was at Jones Lang, I just wanted to be successful there, billing, doing a lot of business, being successful, making money for clients, because I knew that if I made money for clients, one day they would want to partner with me as we set up on our own. And that's the way it started. When we first left Jones Lang in 2002, we did have a number of our core clients who were clients at Investor, and we had them as partners. So that's really how we started the business. 100% Jewish clients, mainly international investors, some from Israel, some from America. And at the end of the day, if you're matzliach and siyata d'shmaya, you're successful, then your investors will want to invest with you when you leave in order to make money. So
I think just to explain to the average listener, what is it exactly that InvestStream does? It is rich people investing money with you guys.
The InvestStream doesn't have any clients. So go back to Jones Lang.
Oh, this is in Jones Lang.
At Jones Lang, and this is the formula we did, we had wealthy investors who are not in real estate. If they're in real estate, and you take some of the real estate people here in London, we all know, there's a limit to what you can do for them. Yeah. You can put them a deal, you can do this. Here, we were working either for overseas who had no operation in the UK, or for wealthy people in England that made money in another field and wanted to own real estate. We set the strategy, which means what to buy, what type of sector, what are we looking to buy? It was all commercial, no residential. So is it office, is it industrial? Where can we, please God, make money? what is the strategy? What are we going to do? We're going to buy it for this, or we're going to sell it for that. What is the strategy? And then you find the investments. Then we used to find the finance as well. So we used to say to the client, it's a £100 million deal. There were some very big deals out of the 1.5 billion. Big deal, 100 million. We're going to borrow 80, 85, 90 million. You're going to need to put in the difference. And we will find the finance. We'll deal with the lawyers. We'll deal with the accountants. We'll asset manage it. We'll organize the day-to-day management. We'll take care of everything. And we'll either refinance it or we will sell it with a plan. So everything had a plan. And that was 10 years. So I learned the business, if you like, at Jones Lang.
But and then with investing, you just did it for yourself. You and
with
partner.
Partners, with our own money, in partnership with with people who were previous clients.
And still just in the commercial property
in the commercial, only in the commercial. We went from traditional commercial into student accommodation, which was a big sector for us. These are big projects, huge projects. One of them we had was 500 room, a tower next to the Shard. London Bridge was 500 room permission that went up to nearly like 1,000. These were big schemes. We did a lot of student, but our main focus has been sort of offices. That's been the main focus. It's all about, in my view, it's about adding value. So it's we don't buy anything if there's nothing we can do. We're looking to buy something where we can change it, position it, and make money.
Maximize the potential of it, basically.
No, it's every child's dream. I want to be a millionaire. Yeah, what's that? A millionaire. What can you say that gave you that sluche together?
Well, first of all, we all know 99% Siyata Shema. I honestly believe in that. And I had a story yesterday, 2 days ago, at H3. I was at H3 conference, and from the beginning of the day until the end of the day, I said this to a good friend of mine, Yisrael Moskovich. I explained the whole story at the end of one of the talks. I saw the Yad Hashem, and that for me is a big thing. It's a huge thing. It's a privilege, and it's a huge zechir to see the Yad Hashem when something left field comes out. You're not expecting it, and to me, this is the most exciting part of my days when you see the normal way. What I say, derech hateva. It's more difficult to see the Yad Hashem. You're doing an average deal, a marginal deal. Should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? Difficult to see the Yad Hashem. But when something comes that you're not expecting, somebody wasn't meant to call you, something wasn't meant to happen, or you suddenly realize you're doing a deal and you know his boss, you used to work with him, so you can call him and close a deal. When you see the Yad Hashem, it's a huge eye-awakener. It just changes it. And I had this 2 days ago during the morning till the afternoon at the H3 conference. I saw it with my own eyes. So to me, that gives me a huge boost. But at the end of the day, it is a studless. I can tell you the story. It's a great story. It's a tenant wanted to take a certain amount of space. We'd agreed in principle a deal, not in solicitor's hands. We'd agreed a deal. It was an average size space. And while we were doing that, along comes another tenant out the blue who wants to take 3 times the amount of space to include that. So we had to say, I'm sorry, we can't do the deal. And we lost the small deal, but we got the big one. Anyone would do that. You would do the big deal, the big letting. So that's what we did. And they were still interested. Out the blue, one of our existing tenants in the building says, we want to upgrade to bigger space. Not expected. 2 minutes during the day of H3, we agree the deal for him to move double the size of the space, agree the deal, and the same day I'm agreeing that the original people should come and take the smaller space all in one day. None of it, if you asked me a day before, none of it was in my mind even a havamina. It wasn't there, it wasn't going to happen. So I say and I said this to a number of people, when you see the Yad Hashem and you see it clearly, first of all, it's a privilege. It's not easy to see it, and you have to acknowledge that it's come for the Yad Hashem. But it's a awakener that basically is telling you that really everything is. But it's difficult to see it when you're doing the average marginal deal. But when you have something like that, it just brings home that everything is, but this is put you back into the right frame of mind.
That's what I always say. You want to become a real Babatuch and open up a business.
Yeah.
As an employee, when you get your regular paycheck, it's very difficult to see the Yad Hashem. But
harder. Yes, I'm not saying that everyone can, and that's why I say that it's when you do see it, I've seen it a number of times I don't think I've seen it that many times in my lifetime, but when you see it, you realize everything comes from Hashem. Go back to the beginning.
Now, I want to ask you about the lessons that you have learned in business on what has contributed to the success, because I remember at the Boost event in Stanford Hill, you had a very, very affectionate speech there.
So I'd say the number one is track record. The UK property market, and even smaller in Stanford Hill, but generally the UK property market, it's small. So being honest, being straight, being open, being word of mouth, and realizing that you're only as good as the deal that you're doing now is critical. It's very, very hard to build a reputation, and you can lose it very quickly. So building a reputation, being honest with everyone, telling them the truth. I'm going to try, I can do it, or I can't promise. So that is number one for me, is reputation, being honest, being open. Sometimes you can't. You can't always do it. Sometimes I turn around to somebody and say, I'm sorry, I can't do this deal. So being very open and very honest, to me, is critical, because then you're on the path that people will believe in you, people will trust you. Trust is very, very important. And particularly if one person in a wider world, I think, has an even bigger chiyuv from a Kiddush Hashem to do the best they can. So I'd say that, to me, was my number one. The other part of it is hard work. People think it comes easy, it just happens. It is hard work, it is putting in the hours, it is doing the research. You get in a deal, you've got to do the due diligence. You can't just say, I'm taking a flyer, I think we should just go for it. You do the due diligence, and then you still have siyata shema, you still have to, you know that you can plan everything, it doesn't happen, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't do your shtadlis. And that's the key for me, is you still have to do it, but you have to recognize that ultimately you can plan everything, it doesn't happen, and the other way, as I've said.
During your journey, even the last 20-25 years, have you ever had a story where you felt like, okay, things are collapsing, something is going wrong, challenges going on? Well, it was a smooth, easy drive, just the hours and work. If
anyone ever tells you that everything is smooth and everything's never had any problems, I can promise you that they're not telling the truth. So no, very much. Of course, we've had tough times. After Lehman's Bank went down, there was tough times there, and Baruch Hashem, we did well. We had tremendous siyata d'shmaya that we sold all of our shopping centres and quite a number of our assets before the downturn, which again was not me, it was help from up above. So no, we've definitely had tough times. Everyone, particularly in the current market, high interest rates. I wouldn't say that it's been, for anyone in real estate, been an easy ride, but perseverance, hard work, and I would just say that being as much as possible, creating friends, even sometimes you have a difficult situation where someone in business hasn't been that fair to you, you need long-term friends, not enemies. So it's trying to step back whenever you are somehow worked up about something. Don't call them straight away, don't do anything. If you want to write an email to them, write it, sleep on it, look at it again in the morning, and then send it. I think also the other thing is important to have, I'm lucky to have a business partner where we've never had one disagreement, we've never had a problem. It's helpful, otherwise I think it can be quite lonely on your own. So having a partner I like, and I recommend it, not always easy if you don't get on. And then having also sometimes a mentor is important. Somebody that you can just talk to, somebody you can take advice from. I do a lot of that with my father, should be well. To be able to just do a health check, a sound check, just to see whether am I going on the wrong path? Does this make sense? Does it make sense? So that's, one has to recognize in life, you don't know everything. And I don't know everything. When people come to me and say, Moshe, you don't know? I said, no, I'm going to think, I'm going to ask. In the same way, a Rov sometimes, even Dayan Entroy, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, used to ask Shilas. People said to him, you don't know? Of course he knows. But he used to ask. So I think having a mentor, having somebody to take advice from, and everyone in their working life will find somebody older, someone more experienced they can trust, confide in, is important.
I think we're going to get back to Dayan Entroy because I think he had a very close relationship with him. But just to finish off on this part that Ari asked you about the challenges, I know that just in the last few years, especially with commercial space, with office spaces, since COVID, there has been a very big decline in demand for them. Has this been, has this affected business?
I'm sitting here having, Baruch Hashem, one of the best weeks for a long time, having signed quite a few leases. It comes down to, there is a general decline and there's work from home. But I think if you have the best product in a town, you'll always be matzliach. And I think that's the key. Make sure that you position your real estate, your asset, whatever you're doing with a service, quality, then I believe there's always demand. Because what happens in the real estate business is people will need offices. Even if they work from home, they go to work from home on a Monday and a Friday, they're still going to need an office on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So they need an office generally. And as the general demand might shrink, you can make money either way, because either they're bigger occupiers and they're shrinking, coming down to the space that you've got, or they're growing. So I think in any market you can make money. It's definitely, in my opinion, come down to the quality of the service. Quality of the product, quality of the service is more important than it used to be. In the old days, you had an office, you could let it. Today, the ones that are a good service and good location and quality product, what they offer, that's critical, I think.
So you're obviously running a very stressed business, yeah? Constantly going, constantly doing, constantly having to look out of things. How do you refresh your brain? How do you keep calm, keep going? Is it something you do?
The work-life balance, in my view, is critical. And I think everyone needs to stop and look at that. I can be exceptionally busy, and I'm going to the gym 3 times a week, and it just clears my head. Gym at home, but I manage it clears my head. It doesn't matter how busy I am, I try and do it. And sometimes people say to me, where are you going? Why can't we speak? And I said, I've got another meeting. If I said I was going to the gym, they would interrupt me. It wouldn't be an excuse. So I think making time for yourself, and again, evenings, I have non-stop people coming to see me. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem, I have people coming to see me. I had somebody come to see me last night at 8:30, and he needed help, advice. And at 9:30, I said to him, I'm happy to continue this conversation, but another time I have to go. You need to make time for yourself, because otherwise you'll burn out. I've seen enough people burn out, and it's important to have sometimes just some time. The other, if I can add, before coming back to Diane Entro, but it ties in, the other quality of life I have is I start every morning, 6:30 I'm in shul, learning, at least for sort of half an hour, 40 minutes, and that gives me a really good solid basis. I'm not here to preach, I'm not a rabbi, and I'm wearing a blue shirt in Stamford Hill, but from a quality of mind, you start the day and you have no interruptions at 6:30, and you can start and you can learn. I have a number of chavusas, I do the daf share every day, I do a number of other chavusas. I have one in Ivrit every week, Yiddish on a Sunday. I need to prepare, so I have quite a few, and that's my quality time. So I think if you were to say that I go to Daf Yomi every day, but my quality time is when I can just take my mind out of work, because otherwise it just gets too much.
And your relation with Diane Entro was also Chavrusa or something, no?
Chavrusa every Friday morning from 9 till 11, which was a challenge at times, because his unbelievable mind, unbelievable Yiddish, unbelievable everything, the Ahavas Torah was just phenomenal, and I had to be awake, I had to be sharp. And you can have a coffee, but it does not going to help you for 2 hours. I have enough experience of that. So an early night, Thursday night, I used to go to bed between 10 and 10:30, because then you've got a chance of managing 2 hours, because it was just the most amazing. We learnt for, I think, 11 or 12 years every Friday morning from 9. Went through most of Choshe Mishpat Chelik Gimel, the old Chelik Gimel, which was all the business halachas, and his knowledge just unbelievable. Huge loss, huge gap. But I was very close to him personally, close to the family, still remained very close. The Rebbetzin can call our home 2 or 3 times a day. We're very close as a family. And I say it's a huge privilege and it's a huge honor to be able to to be able to be in this position. My proudest moment in my life is when a rabbi, United Synagogue rabbi, comes up to me and says, Moshe, every time I see you, you're with Diane Ehrentreu. Are you his shamus? And I said, thank you, that is the proudest moment of my life. Somebody thought that I was the full-time shamus of Diane Ehrentreu. Zecher Tzaddik Levacha was the biggest compliment I could have ever had.
Amazing. So I think I want to move on, Moshe, a bit to Work Avenue.
Yes.
And number one, I'm not sure if you know that how grateful I am to Work Avenue, because when I came up with the idea of J-Trade, I went around to a lot of people to speak about it.
I remember.
And everyone told me, nah. I called them Moshe and I told them, Moshe, can I come meet you in your house? Who are you? I'm Arif Efekon. Speak first to my CEO. Called CEO, spoke to him and said, he calls me, come to my house. Then you showed me, I think you have a picture from Zalma Orbach then, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, we had that chat and went through this is the risks. This is a good risk to take, Ari. You go for it. We're going to support you. Go and do it. It's going to be successful. So if I wouldn't have his backbone and his sponsorship, I'm telling you I wouldn't have pulled it off, because everyone told me no and I kept on going, but I thought like
at least one person.
You was the only person who told me,
wow,
go for it.
You've got a better memory than I have.
Listen, you meet more people than I meet at that thing, but...
No, I think when Moshe says he had a different recollection of that meeting.
No. I do remember it now, but Baruch Hashem, it's been very successful.
Baruch Hashem, and it's happening. So let's speak about Work Avenue, because I think it's a very important thing what you're doing. Why did you open it? When did you open it? What made you do it? You're enough busy, more things to do on your hand, so what encouraged you to do it?
I opened it for the sole reason that we had a lot of people asking us for help. And I came to the realization, it's nearly 20 years ago, 2006. And they came to me, not only me, they came to other people well known in the community for help. I want to start a business, will you lend me money? And yes, we helped them. And I realized quite soon, a bit painful, because it was after losing quite a bit of money, that I was pouring the money down the drain. If you're not going to be able to have the time and the structure to help them to build their businesses, you're just pouring it down the drain, because they can have an amazing idea, but they can lose out on cash flow, or they don't have a proper business plan, or they don't know how to hire people. They don't know how to go and talk to the bank, or how to build a website, whatever it is. If you're not going to help them properly, you are pouring it down the drain. Not just me, other friends as well. So somebody approached me at the time and said, would you be interested in backing an employment where we train people and we help people for Parnossa, the employment side. This is before Shruggers Altsman. It was Debbie Sheldon came to me originally. She now has gone on Aliyah.
Yeah.
And she came to see me at the beginning. And in fact, originally I employed her personally before we had the Mossad set up. And she said to me, Moshe, I want to train people and I want to help them to get jobs. I said, that's fine, but I want to do the business side. I want to do both. In those days, it had a name called Trainee and Tradee. We changed it, Baruch Hashem, to Work Avenue, which is a much better name. And I wanted to be able to help somebody when they walk through the door, whatever it is. You either need a job, or you want to start a business, or you have a business, you need more help. But that way, that's how we started day one. That we had the business side, which was really my focus, which is really the bit that I was excited about, that people in the community could go to Work Avenue and get business advice, and then we give them loans, and then we help them, and eventually we got government loans, other loans. It went on from just a few Heimische loans, but it meant that we could help them properly. I say to people, do a business plan. Even if you're not going to look at it again, it just helps you to see which direction you're going, where you're trying to go. It's a very useful tool for everybody. And with the help with originally just Debbie Sheldon, I funded it the first few years on my own just to get it going. It was originally in, not where it is now, another place in Finchley. And we started helping people, and word got out, employment and business. And then many years later, we bought the building. Myself and my partner and another charitable trust, the Morris Wall Charitable Trust, put up most of the money, and we refurbished it. And then I think from then, when we had that, it really started to take off. Shruggers Altsman did an amazing job leading Work Avenue, and now we've got Debbie Lebret, who was the head teacher in Hasmonean, and she's very strong. Her husband is well known in Stanford Hill, run side by side, Gerald Lebret. Yep. Baruch Hashem, we have a fantastic team, 18 people. During COVID, we realized that we needed to help people, a lot from Stanford Hill, a lot from Prestwich, a lot from Gateshead, who had set up their own businesses, and the government couldn't help them because they were new. So we went out to the foundations, non-religious foundations, and we raised a lot of money. I think it was about £500,000, and we gave that out as not as loans. People didn't need loans in COVID, beginning of COVID. It was grants. It was basically people in business who couldn't get that help from the government. And I raised the money very quickly. It was not difficult to raise the money, but it was a plaster on a dam. It wasn't the solution to employment. We knew it wasn't. It was just to fix a short-term problem. And around the end of COVID, as we were coming out, it was with Debbie Sheldon. Shraga had already left. We were looking at how can we really do something that will build a much stronger bridge. And what was staring us in the face was that you're looking at the employment side as one part. You come in, you want a job, the employment side. You're looking at the business side, help somebody set up a business, another part. What we didn't realize, and then suddenly a light bulb we realized, was that we can actually pull the two together to create something that is, Baruch Hashem, been hugely successful. And that is a social enterprise where we can use charitable money. We originally called it WAGE, Work Avenue Generating Employment, where we train people. We'll pay for the training. I think we pay 80% of the training courses. We train people for employment in the areas where our businesses need them. So you've got guaranteed jobs. We have created a structure where you've got a guaranteed job. You haven't got a job at the moment, so you have a sticker, yellow sticker on your desk, phone Work Avenue. You haven't got the confidence to do it because you're worried, if I call them, if I study, will I get a job at the end? I go for my first job interview and they say, what experience have you got? Blank face, no experience. Yeah. So with this structure, we will give you the employment at the beginning. The businesses that we're helping, a few hundred businesses we're helping, will employ you and put half a day here, a day here. And then over time, they'll want you more time, they'll want you full-time. People move on to full-time jobs. So this for us was a huge, no problem again getting the funding. We had a lot of foundations wants to fund the project. Because it's non-profit, it makes it okay to do a social enterprise. And I think this is a big opportunity to do more of these in the community. And this really changed and pivoted after COVID. Soon after that, Debbie Lebret joined, but that changed the whole perception, it gave us a lot more that we could achieve. And that is really one of our key focuses today, is the ability to give guaranteed jobs.
Now, Ari, you mentioned about COVID, the grant. I think Ari was a bit involved in the encouragement at the time to involve Stanford Hill in it.
Probably.
But I think Work Avenue is set up in a way that it was mainly focused on the Northwest community.
Correct, and that's changing now. Work Avenue is now employing, and we have a short list of people. Spoke to somebody on the way over here. We were about to employ a Frum Haredi person to look after Stanford Hill primarily.
Amazing. I want to ask a question.
We will fund him, and will also help us in Manchester. We opened an office recently in Manchester, which is 85-90% Haredi. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We officially were open to everyone, but the Lamaisa, it's mainly there. And Gateshead's in touch with us as well now to work with us. So, but I think coming back to Stanford Hill, and we had a talk here in Stanford Hill, we have helped, and we do help a lot more people than anyone knows, because no one ever knows. Exactly. I meet people on the street, and I know that I've helped them. I can't even say because their wives are there, or no one knows who we help. And there's a lot of people in Stanford Hill and in Manchester and in Gateshead we've been helping for years, non-stop. But I think the time has come when we believe it would be of benefit for Stanford Hill to have an actual person who they can relate to, a
point of contact.
Yes, we need somebody. They'll have the whole backup. We've got a team of 18 people in Finchley, business, employment, big team. But they will be the front. They will be fully trained by us in order to serve the Haredi community, with Stamford Hill being the primary one. And we're here to help. We don't say no to anyone. That's very important from a Work Avenue perspective. Everyone who comes to us, we will try and help them.
Is it in plan as well to open up the same like the hub you have in Golders Green?
We would like to, yes. We would like to. We need to find the right space. Let me just come on to the hub if I can. You know, if you sit at home, besides the temptation, you're sitting in your kitchen table, someone starting their business, besides the temptation of the fridge, you haven't got anyone to talk to. You don't see anyone. It's not conducive to ideas, to discussion. You come to Work Avenue, and I'll be honest, I don't understand why there isn't a real hub here in Stamford Hill, a business hub.
Because no one wants to fund it.
Money, Baruch Hashem, will find the money. If you have the right idea, I'm never worried about the money. But I think the idea is you go to the collaboration. So how do we encourage collaboration? Let me just explain that collaboration, when two people work together, it doesn't always happen by itself. We've got two styles of collaboration. One is I'm sitting next to somebody and I'm starting a business, and he's just done the stage where I'm at 6-12 months ago. How do you do this? How do you open a bank account? How do you do a website? How do you employ somebody? All the questions that you ask, one can help the other. And it happens, and we encourage it, and we have sessions. So that's one collaboration. That's worth an enormous amount. You can't get that sitting in your kitchen table at home. You can get it. You know, I think we house about 180 people, which is full in Finchley.
The official
offices.
Yeah,
You've never been there?
So in Finchley, there's hot desking, there's fixed desks for single people. Then on the first floor, there's actual small offices, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. A lot of meeting rooms. So I think this is a fantastic opportunity to create collaboration. The other collaboration on a no-names basis, because one of the cases is a Stamford Hill person, is where you can collaborate and put two people together in a business where they have synergy, and 1 and 1 equals 3. So they're in one area, and the other one is maybe they're in life insurance, the other person is a mortgage broking or something like that. And you can encourage, and you need to work with them together, and they can have a slightly different background. But when you put the two together, they can make 1 and 1 equals 3, because they can help. That one of their clients wants the other, and vice versa. And I think if you're looking at helping people, the truth is these things don't cost. The collaboration doesn't cost. So why shouldn't we as a community be doing it?
Well,
yeah. No, this Work Avenue has become your passion project.
Correct.
But it's not your only passion project.
It's not my only passion project. It's the one that I founded. It's the one that I'm involved in daily. And just, it's for me the highest. You look in the Rambam, it's the highest form of tzedakah. There was a non-frum person became excited about Work Avenue. What got him excited? He came to a dinner and our guest speaker said, earn a living with dignity. I didn't tell him to say that, but you have dignity. If you come to Work Avenue, and I just carry on Work Avenue, I didn't realize, and I'll be open, how important dignity is when you start, and how Work Avenue gives you dignity, because you could be sitting there, lost your job yesterday, and we say, come in and sit here and we'll find you a job. Well, you could be a successful business. So I walk into Work Avenue, I don't know who is a successful business and who's just lost their job. So you come in and you've got dignity. You don't feel, and that for me is one of the most important. If you have confidence and you have dignity, you can be very, very matzliach. It goes a long way. So for me, that is one of my key drivers to Work Avenue. The other thing is, just to add, is the business mentors is something we've been doing for a long time, and we continue to do. We try and match up every business with a business mentor to help you in order to do it. And that again takes a lot of time. Debbie and her team, excellent at that, takes a lot of time. And we have the right business mentor. Somebody wants to go into a certain business, we'll find the right business mentor to help them.
I remember when I was at Work Avenue, I think once there was a congratulations party for Mike Freer.
Correct.
So I think
we hosted that as at the time. I was quite involved then in the Conservative Party. I was a trustee of the Jewish Leadership Council, and I spent quite a lot of time on politics. Less now because my learning Torah has taken over, as I said to one of the JLC trustees.
I thought because Labour's in government.
No,
okay.
it was before Labour. It was still during Conservative. But my learning over COVID, my learning increased, particularly with the DAF, and I couldn't do everything. So the Jewish Leadership Council, I was a trustee for 6 years. And it was actually one of the people who were less frum on the board, who turned round to me and wanted some advice about something not so frum. And I turned round to him and I said, you're asking a Parder's house boy who learned Chumash in Yiddish for advice on something more modern. So I was always very proud.
But I think you always had some time that you gave to a relationship with politicians and with Israeli politicians, I think, no?
Yes, I was a little bit, more with the UK side. With the Jewish Leadership Council, I did go to number 10 quite a number of times. I was also helping the Chinuch UK. I once went to Theresa May to speak. I was in the main cabinet room. Picture of me and her. People thought it was just the two of us on her status. So it was interesting. But I have an interest in politics. I wouldn't say that it's as easy today in the current government. Yeah. But again, if I can help, I was sitting as a trustee of the JLC, and I was involved in Work Avenue, involved a little bit in Chinuch, that I if I could help, I did. And the Conservative Party were definitely there to help.
I want to jump a bit more on your relationship with Belz.
Yep.
You have the famous hall, Yismach Moshe. How did you get close to Belz? What's your relationship?
I think it goes back. It goes back with my business partner, Morris Golka. His name is Moshe Morris. My name is Moshe Zev. So the Belzerov said Yismach Moshe will be the hall. I think it goes back to the style and the outlook of the Belzerov. And if you look at what he's achieved, outstanding success from nothing, from a young child, his success to what he's built, to the way that they're also friendly and the way that they're so welcoming. I'm not saying anyone else isn't. I know quite a few of the others, including Carleen, and I know most of the Hasidic Moisters and the Rebbes. I just found that the Belz was more in tune with my thinking. There is a little bit of history. My grandmother in Vienna lived on above the Belzer Stiebel there.
Oh, okay.
So, in fact, a short story about my grandmother, who should be gesund. I'm not going to say how old she is, but she's well over 100. Kanai Nahoa. 5 generations, with the oldest already in the 5th generation, 17, wow. 18. And if I tell you a quick Maisa about her, which she told me recently, was that father was a huge Talmud Chacham, and he was wrote Sforim, was a Makubal. And it was Kristallnacht, and she was 13 years old. And her father said to her, "Don't go and look in the window. You will never forget for the rest of your life what you've seen." 13-year-old. All of us, what would we do when we're 13?
We go to the window.
Go to the window. She went to the window, and Loilenu, she saw Sifrei Torah, the Belzer Stiebel was on the floor below. And she saw the Sifrei Torah burning on the floor outside. And she said to me very recently, many, many years later, Kanai Nahoa, she's, without giving her age, she's well over 100. My father was right. I can close my eyes now, and I can see the Sifrei Torah burning, and my father never knew that I'd live this long. Wow. But to this day, I can close my eyes and I can see them on fire.
So I got the answer already, so I don't need to...
So that, to me, created a, if you like, a deep relationship. Yeah. But then very much respect Aaron Klein and Yidel and in Eretz Yisrael, all the team there. Just really the way they approach, the way they've done things, the quality, to me, was something
very outside the box, very down to earth.
I think we need to explain to the listener. The Yisroel Moshe Hall in Stanford Hill, it's a chasana hall that is busy every night, probably the number one most busy hall. And I think there were some conditions that you wanted it to serve specifically when you donated the money.
Yes, I mean, we still have aspirations to be able to create lower cost chasnas, and that's something we will look at. I think it's been quite hard with inflation, with the cost of chasnas. I think the cost has come up. But if we can, if there is a way to construct keeping the cost of chasnas as low as possible, that was the main idea when... but I'll tell you a quick story. If you want a quick story, how Yismach Moshe really came about, and I don't think I've ever said this before, but now we're just the three of us, no one else listening. I'll tell you a little story what happened. We bought a property, and I never mention numbers, so we bought a property for X, and we had a lot of atzlacha. It's probably one of the properties we had the most atzlacha with on one property. And we worked up a planning permission, and we had an offer coming in at 4-5 times X of what we had paid. And the offer comes in on a fax machine in those days as Alan Klein was coming to see us, to our office. This offer comes in 4 or 5 times what we paid, and we said to Alan, we're going to give you a percentage for the hall, and it wasn't enough to pay for the whole hall, but we're going to give you X%, and that's going to get you going. We would have accepted that offer. That offer was most people 4 or 5 times would have accepted that offer. There's no such thing as we know as by chance. Siyata D'Shmaya, we had a meeting booked in half an hour later. I remember saying to Uncle, we got to go, with the senior partner, Yiddish guy at CBRE, a big firm, just to catch up. He was involved in Jewish care, and we were involved in Jewish care on the board, and we said, well, come catch up. We told him we just had this offer, and we were sort of very excited about it, and what do you think? He says, don't accept it. Go and see a team in my office. This offer was for student accommodation. Go and see a team in my office, and the team in my office are going to tell you that it's probably worth more residential. Get a planning permission to convert the building. It was a 50-story tower building we had got permission for. And get permission. It will take a bit of time, and the value is going to go much higher. And we went to see them, and they told us if you get permission, the value will be another 60-70% higher if you get it. Okay, so we listened to them. We got planning permission 2 years later for residential, and during that period was Brexit. Residential values went down, but the student value went to exactly the same number they said that residential would be. We sold it for that number, and that was the percentage of that number that funded the Yismach Moshe.
Wow.
But that was a story I've never told before.
And maybe that's why there's such a big siyata d'shmaya there, that you've got so many families who enjoy that whole and are managed to make chassan on a cheaper level. Now, before finishing on the charity side, there's one more charity that I want to speak about, because I think you're also very passionate about that one, which is Chana.
Right. So the truth is, I wasn't involved in the Chana day one. I went with my son when he was still in school to Scotland for 2 days. I rented a car and I did this fantastic drive along the west coast, above and back down to Balmoral. And I came home after 2 days and I told my wife, I don't know why, I think this would be a fantastic idea for a charity. She was not involved in Chana at the time, and she said, do it for Chana. I said, okay. In fact, the first rally, Chana wasn't even involved. Nobody from Chana came, no complaints. Nobody from Chana came. And I did it with my secretary. I made a bunch of calls. Happened, booked the caterer, booked everything, organised the cars. We rented in Scotland, a car rally in Scotland. And we did it year after year. I think we're up to 20 rallies. The last one, I think we made net, typically we can make net 600,000 net.
Oh, wow. So
it makes a lot of money for Chana. And since then, my wife became a trustee of Chana in the last 12, 18 months. And it's amazing because it appeals to people from all over the world. Most of the wealthier participants are not from the UK. They come in from Panama, Mexico, Miami, New York, Israel.
I joined one there.
You came, yeah. And I think the success of it, if I look back at the last year or 2 years, the largest 10 donations do not live
In the UK.
And some of them have never heard of Chana before. Give you an example this year. Somebody came along this year, and everyone who was on the rally will work out who it is. He never heard of Chana. He's from America. He had really very much enjoyed himself, $50,000. We've had before larger sums, just because it's a relaxed atmosphere. It's Baruch Hashem, a very successful fundraising idea, and it's just grown, and it's hugely successful. Starting to plan next year's rally now. It is a lot of work now because everything is more sophisticated, and you have to.
And you do it overseas, so.
Overseas, so the last 2 years was in the south of France. Next year, hopefully, will be in the south of Spain. And the catering and everything is quite a lot of work, but it's hugely successful, and it's been Chana's main source of income for many, many years.
Wow.
To explain to the viewers, Chana is an organization that deals with fertility.
Fertility. It was the oldest. It's been around for 30 plus years, and it helps people with fertility, people who need fertility needs.
I want to touch on the noise about from giving tzedakah. I'm sure everyone comes up from Moshe, this tzedakah is most important, this tzedakah is most important, this tzedakah is important. How do you handle the noise from tzedakah, and how important is it to give tzedakah?
Giving tzedakah it's the core. It's really number one most important part of Hatzlacha. I believe that you are you can see a direct correlation between giving and being Matzliach. It's a communal responsibility as well. We live in a community, we don't live in isolation. So giving tzedakah for me is part and parcel of my blood. It's my fresh air, it's breathing. I raise a lot of money and I give money. So, but it's a zechir. You have to realize and appreciate that giving money, tzedakah, is a privilege. There are people who've got money and find it harder to part with it. Giving it is a privilege, and it's an honor to give it. But it's core to, I think, anyone who's part of a community and takes on responsibility. It's part and parcel of that.
But how do you handle it? Because every day people come up to you, Moshe, I need this, Moshe, I need that, Moshe, can you help me?
How do you choose
it's
between
a good
what
question.
cause?
It's a very good question, because I have seen friends of mine who have suffered, who have been burnt out as a result. And I think you have to, for your own sake and the sake of your family, particularly your wife, you have to set certain boundaries. You otherwise it takes over your life, particularly when I go to Eretz Yisrael, Sholosh Regalim, and you don't want every day non-stop Rabbonim
Still waiting
coming.
for invite.
And non-stop Rabbonim coming. You need to set certain parameters, and I would tell everyone that it's very important to set parameters. And the other thing which is important, and I hope everyone's listening to this, do not give beyond your means. There is pressure. We all know there's pressure. These campaigns and somehow add to the pressure. No one, no Rov, no one should be asking you to give beyond your means. And you give what you can, and you enjoy giving, which to me is very important. You enjoy giving is all part of it, and give with an open heart. And sometimes you're giving more public because you have no choice. It's a hall, it's a building, it's a campaign. But there are many cases where no one will ever know, and I can honestly say no one in my family will know some of the people, because that is critical for me. The confidentiality is very important, not only who I give, but who I speak to, who I help. So that's very important. But I think coming back to the work-life balance that I spoke about earlier, you've got to make tzedakah being part of that balance. And that is not letting it eat you up, not letting it take over your life, because it can. If you have an open door all the time and you have the phone calls and everything, it will take over your life. You won't have a quality of life, and at the end of the day, what will suffer is your tzedakahs eventually. So there's no point. You give what you can, and to me, priorities, education has always been very important. I know now in Golden Screen with a vision, I believe it's a fundamental to support the moisters for education, chinuch, and I hope in Stafford Hill is the same, because chinuch is the future. Yeah. Without chinuch, you haven't got the next generation. So I would encourage the vision, whether you do it in Stafford Hill as well, it's very important. And then obviously Work Avenue, you have everyone has their own charities, but then try and help everyone as much as possible. Not only giving, but sometimes I do get involved in saying, I'll help you to raise. So.
But I think you also help people not only with donating yourself, sometimes with your time and bringing other people to the table.
Yes, so when someone needs help, and sometimes people come and see me for help, I will try and assess the situation, and quite often we'll bring others in order to, if it's right, to help. I'm not shy.
Yeah.
Not shy to ask. It's never been a problem. I've been fundraising, but sometimes it could be a loan, it could be a one-off donation. So, yeah.
Moshe, I have no word.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time and coming in. I think we should maybe give a shout out to Shauli who helped bring this.
Thank you, Shauli.
Shaila's a good man.
Very good friend.
Ari usually asks our guests to give a
I will
final...
say like a final 30-second measure. One thing you can tell for generations, for the people, the listeners, what would you say?
The biggest lesson, and I think the number one, is to prioritize your family. Prioritize your wife and your children in life. Spend quality time with them. Realize that you don't get younger, you get older. And you can't turn the clock back. So good holidays, good times, be able to listen, to be able to have time to sit with them. However busy you are, you have time. A busy person's got time for everything. So I would want to finish off by saying, make sure you give your wife, your children, your grandchildren, Mitzvah Shem, enough time that they do not feel under pressure, that you've got work, that you've got charity, that they can feel that they have quality time with you. And to me, that is, if you like, at the core of any person within our community.
Wow. Moshe, thanks again for coming in.
On that message, we'll let you get back to your
I
family.
don't need to finish. I don't need to do anything.